Hello everyone, and thank you for joining me. Mythology can be a rather polarising topic among ancient history researchers. The majority of academics, even those who specialise in the subject, seem to hold the view that mythology is little more than
rumors, lies, fairy tales.
For others, most of whom would be listed as being part of the alternative history community, mythology is an invaluable tool, the Swiss Army knife of circumstantial evidence. Personally, I think both of these approaches are wrong, and like the grumpy old man I am, I'm going to explain why. Now, focusing on the latter for the moment, there is a problem in using mythology as direct evidence of anything. Mythology is, in the end, a form of entertainment, designed to be riveting as much as it is educational, often a way of detailing what would be deemed positive attributes by the society of the time. No different than today's form of entertainment, and we all know how the likes of Hollywood treats history. For every Waterloo, Gettysburg or Tora Tora Tora, there are a dozen movies that make those of us who want some accuracy in our films about historical events go, Movies are not a good way to learn about history. Even those that attempt to tell a true story can be hampered by the quality of the records on the subject, leading to interpretations that can be as wide off the mark as an attempt to use a toilet after a long night out. So we can't really expect mythology to be an accurate account of history. Unfortunately, the fact that you can interpret myths in multiple ways has allowed some to fit them into almost any narrative. In so doing, they take the story out of its context. You see this a lot with flood-related myths, which are often cited as a memory of a global flood around the time of the Younger Dryas event. But the evolution and even the detail of each individual myth is often forgotten or ignored. That's like believing you know about the Battle of Stirling Bridge because you saw the movie Braveheart. Now, for the academics out there who treat myths like you, quite frankly, are morons. Mythology is a tried and proven method of both entertainment and retaining knowledge. It's built into our DNA, leaving even our recent history littered with myths. Take the little ships of Dunkirk for example. We all know how an armada of fishing and pleasure boats, crewed by the people of Britain, rushed to save the trapped army before it was destroyed. It's a real tear-jerking tale, except it didn't happen like that. But the story will probably be told and retold for centuries. The successful, long-remembered myths have a foundation of fact, mixed with exaggeration, imagination and flair. I think that's because for a tale to work and be memorable, it must be based on something recognisable, with details that work in that setting, along with concepts that make sense to the consumer. So in my opinion, yes, mythology can and should be used as a tool for uncovering lost history. But to do that, you must shovel through so much exaggeration, alterations and sheer fantasy of the stories that have built up over time, until we reach its bare bones. You can possibly do this with the aid of similar stories from neighbouring groups and civilizations. Then look into the stories and their history. Has that tale travelled, and if so, where from, and how has it changed? Such research could possibly reveal detail that proves or disproves your theory, and if it is your theory, it's better if you're the person that disproves it. Let me give you a short example of what I mean by all this. Depending on how I interpret the myth, I could make the tale of Ragnarok of Norse mythology fit the Younger Dryas, the Bronze Age collapse, the environmental disaster of 536 AD, or even the sinking of Doggerland. I could even match it up with the tale of Atlantis. So how can we focus the myth on a particular event? Well, look into what the word Ragnarok means, and what the history of that word is. Who are the major characters? What happens to them in the myth? What is the background of those characters and the meaning/history of their names? Is there a link between this myth and other myths within Norse mythology and surrounding mythologies? Obviously, such research is not easy, and it can be about as much fun as a conversation with a dentist, but it has the potential payoff of providing details of a truly historical event. For example, going back to Ragnarok, we see little connection to the myths of older cultures, meaning this particular myth probably evolved in Northern Europe or Scandinavia. Linguistic history and the evolution of names of characters, particularly those of Thor and Freya, links it to the British Isles and or Northwestern Europe. Both of these details tells us that if there is any historical context to Ragnarok, it is based somewhere around the North Sea, probably occurring in the last 2,000 years. Obviously, this is scraping the surface of this tale, but it's a good start. Anyway, that's all I've got to talk about on this subject this time, but I hope you don't mind this short rant, and I'll see you next time.